All right, I'm back with another episode. Welcome back. And if this is your first time listening, I want to welcome you to the show. Don't forget to subscribe, follow, download, and share this from whatever platforms you use to listen to podcasts on. All right, so I spent a lot of time thinking about this episode, and I wanted to talk about being the best and what does it mean to be the best. And should we always try to be the best? You know, we hear the word best thrown around all the time. We hear and say things like do your best, be the best version of yourself, and put your best foot forward. Being the best and trying to be the best, they come with challenges. And I wanted to do this episode because it reminded me about this TV show that I used to watch as a kid. And I won't get into the details of the show, but there was this one episode where the friend of the main character, he was the best swordsman in all of Europe. And people would challenge him all the time, but eventually he started to run away because he was actually afraid of losing. He was afraid of losing that title of being the best. And he would later tell his friend to not become the best because when you're the best, everybody wants to take a shot at the best. And so later on in that episode, he ended up dying at the hands of his best friend, the main character of the series, because he wanted to prove that he was still the best, you know. He wanted to prove that he wasn't afraid and he still had what it took to be considered the best. And I think he bought into that label of being the best, which, you know, wasn't something that he ever claimed to be. Other people saw him as the best, and because everybody would challenge him and lose, everybody else thought he was the best. And we have to be careful about putting these labels on people. Again, what does it mean? How do we come to the conclusion that somebody is the best at something? And I think maybe we should change it from maybe being the best to, let's say, they're a little better at doing something, than the next person. And I say that because there will always be a time when people who are considered the best won't always be at their best. We have to understand that there will always be somebody better. Again, we have to be careful with the word the best, you know. And I look at it, let's take MMA, for example. I'm a big MMA fan. And when a fighter wins a title, when a fighter wins a championship, they become the best. You know, the people look at them as the best and they're considered the best. But it may not be something that they want, you know, and it may not be something that they proclaim to be. And, at the same time, I think a lot of people who look at them as the best, they kind of set themselves up for disappointment. Like in this example, like when their favorite fighter, isn't at their best at one particular moment or time. To be highly favored is a great thing, but there's a lot of pressure that comes with it. And just like in that TV show I was telling you about, the guy was under a lot of pressure, which eventually took him over in the end. And so we don't want to put a lot of pressure on people when we say that they're the best at something. I'm not saying that you shouldn't go out and try to, put your best effort into everything, but I don't think that it should be the only thing that we have to rely on. It shouldn't be our only fuel for motivation. There's no doubt about it that it feels good when others look at us as the best. But at the same time, there's nothing wrong with not wanting to be the best. And speaking of motivation, it's a very tricky thing to try to motivate people, but it's not always about making them, want to be the best. And like I said, maybe we should start looking at ways of just, making people want to be better versus the best, motivate people to get better at what they're doing so that they get better each and every time that they do something. Because when you say that they're the best or you're the best, I think it's like saying they have or you have no more room to improve. Now, looking at what it means to be the best, I think that, I think it's something like a social construct that we've kind of given a meaning to. I think it's artificial. It's not real. Now, switching tracks a little bit, I had a chance to watch the Lakers and the Suns the other night, and things didn't go as planned for the Lakers, but it was interesting because the Lakers, they were champions from last year's finals. So, they were considered the best by some. And I think a lot of people, I guess, were shocked, that those that were considered the best didn't win. And the best team, or should I say the better team, won that night. And it was the Suns. But just because we say that they're the best or someone is the best, that doesn't mean that everybody is going to agree with it. And that's why everyone wants to take a shot at the best. But it just makes you wonder how, if they weren't labeled as the best, or if somebody's not labeled as the best, would anybody take a shot at them? Would anybody challenge them? Another important thing to remember is that, like I said, there will always be someone better, and then there will always be someone worse. The pressure to be the best sets us up for failure. Trying to be the best puts us against each other, and it creates an environment where we're always comparing ourselves to each other. And then we become negative, insecure, and even judgmental. Now, competition can be a good thing, but when we're competing to be the best, it turns into something more than just competition. When we're always competing with others in an attempt to be the best, we teach ourselves to always compare ourselves to others. You should only be competing with one person, and that person is yourself. Understand that being considered the best can differ from place to place and from person to person. There are going to always be these debates about, who's the best or who was the best in a particular field. And one debate that we hear about all the time is who's the GOAT when it comes to basketball? Who's the greatest of all time when it comes to basketball? And I know a lot of people bring up Michael Jordan and LeBron James. And I don't think that these two ever compared themselves to each other. And, to be honest with you, they don't really have to, because the people have already done it. And that whole comparison thing about who's the greatest in basketball, it differs. Some people will say Jordan, and then other people will say LeBron. And, always trying to be the best, it can be very tiresome. It's draining, but, we still fall into it like it's nothing. And to me, being the best or trying to be the best is unnecessary. And I think that, what truly matters the most, more than being the best, is to be effective. And what I mean is that, what good is being the best if you're not making a difference, or if you're not trying to make a difference? You can be the best in whatever, but if you're not bringing value to the world, then what's the point? And that's just my opinion. So what do you think? Should we embrace the best when this label is placed upon us? And if you consider yourself the best at something, what value are you providing outside of just being the best? So that's been this week's episode, y'all. Real short. But until next time, take care of each other. Take care of yourselves. Peace.